PR's top pros talk, executing a growth strategy, featuring Peter Lucht, head of corporate communications for Citizens Financial Group. And here's your host, Doug Simon.
You've been in growth mode, and obviously with the potential for economic turbulence ahead, does that affect your communications approach?
I think the verdict is still out about whether there's going to be a downturn or not. If it is, certainly we all hope that it is short and shallow. However, I think the most important thing to stress is that Citizens has been in the growth mode, executing a very proactive strategy. And that's going to continue to be the case whether we find ourselves in a downturn or not. The type of communications program we look to execute is very tightly mapped to the corporate strategy. And our default mode is to be very strategic and very proactive in any case. So we're going to look to move in lockstep with the company. And as the company stays on offense and perhaps looks to make some defensive moves that are prudent, the communications program is going to reflect that.
Hopefully it's not too self-serving, is that if there is an onset of economic turbulence, that's not a time to cut back on marketing and communications, but that's a time where you actually want to be out more if you can do that. You've used the term disciplined offense in terms of your communications. Can you explain that?
If you take a step back, I believe Citizens in the years since our IPO, disciplined execution has been sort of a hallmark for the company. It had been undermanaged during the time when it was owned by RBS. There were a lot of things that our CEO, Bruce Van Saun, felt like he had to fix when he got here. Just looking at each of these factors and bearing down with discipline and focus. And I don't think the corporate communications is somehow an exception to that. I think it starts with the right plan, with an understanding of that plan, and then just really bearing down on it with rigor to ensure that that we are executing in a way that directly advances narratives that help move the Citizens' reputation forward. And I tell the team, if you find yourself doing something that is not mapped to the corporate or business line strategies and is not advancing a narrative that strengthens the company's reputation, then you need to ask yourself why you're doing it.
Another great area you can give insight is because of your close relationship with your CEO when it comes to the media interviews. How important is it that the head of comms really understands what the CEO is thinking about, expressing, and doing in order to be a better asset for them?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I've worked very closely with Bruce these past 6+ years. Bruce, I think, inherently gets that it is an important and efficient way to reach all of our audiences. So he's very game to engage as long as he believes that it makes strategic sense to do so. When I go to him with an opportunity, I always make sure that I have my ducks in a row in terms of how I think it would help to advance a Citizens narrative, how it would help to provide good surround for the way we want to position the strategy. That is sort of the most important kind of couple of gating items. Then the fact that I have worked with him closely over a number of years, so I have been able to develop, I think, a sense for his receptivity to a particular kind of opportunity and also his voice. So I'm able to help advise him on how we want to position things. And he's not somebody who needs a lot of help with that, which is nice. But to say, this really would be in your wheelhouse in terms of how you think about these things, but we might also consider these factors. So again, I think just good kind of high-level communications counsel to help us collectively stay on course in terms of advancing these narratives. And we have a lot of opportunity ahead of us, whether we endure a downturn or not. It's kind of exciting to have things to work on and continue to be able to see progress. So we look to celebrate those things and highlight them both externally and internally.
Do you have any thoughts or sort of predictions on what might be some communications trends for 2023? I know we're hearing a lot about the metaverse. That could be one of them. Or is there something else that you're thinking about?
So that's a good question. While we are looking at trends like the metaverse to make sure that we are not caught flat-footed should we see a lot of adoption there, I think the real opportunity is around realizing the vision of bringing all of the various communications disciplines together into a consolidated team. So our focus in 2023 is going to be on formulating and executing truly integrated plans that are mapped to some of the most important reputation drivers for the corporation.
Definitely those who are watching this and paying focused attention to will definitely get some tips, ideas, and better approaches that serve them well in the upcoming year. Thanks so much for joining us.
No, my pleasure entirely. Thanks for having me.